Last week's Raw and SmackDown was so unspectacular that I didn't even come up to review them, so the fact I am this week should mean that I have a lot to talk about, even though both shows did things that I am not the most happy about. But with Elimination Chamber just around the corner happening in T-1 day, I had to come up here to not only review Raw and SmackDown, why it's been an interesting week for WWE, but also give my Elimination Chamber predictions on this edition of Wrestling Rant. Raw kicked off this week with, of course, the Gauntlet Match that I'm sure a lot of you know about. Now, it was released over the last weekend that they were going to do this, and I was very uncertain, because a Gauntlet Match can go one of two ways. It can either have every single superstar basically go up against the entire roster and basically put themselves through all hell to make them look good, or they can do what they did and have all 7 people in the Elimination Chamber go at it. Now, a lot of people were thinking, okay, that's going to be the main event, or at least the second hour sorted, we don't have to worry about it. However, to everyone's shock, of course, if you don't know, where the hell have you been? It's been a week since it aired. Have you not been living or something? It lasted for over 2 hours. The longest match in Raw and WWE history, and the single longest performance in one match by anyone in history. Holy crap. This Gauntlet Match was amazing, because one, you don't expect this to happen on weekly Monday night television for a start, and second, that, you know, to see on a Vince McMahon-led program something with such high athleticism and work rate, it blows your mind. And the fact is, despite a few pacing issues in the latter stages with Elias and Finn Balor not really gelling chemistry-wise, it's come through relatively well to stand out as a match that we're going to be looking at as a Match of the Year candidate. Then again, I don't review matches in depth on weekly television, it's the pay-per-views that matter, which kinda sucks. But then again, would I really be rating a 2-hour match higher than what, 3 to 4 stars maybe? I don't even know at this point. The fact is, Braun Strowman looked good coming out of it because he won the whole thing, this whole match set up stories going into the chamber, and Seth Rollins looked like $1 million. Because if you wrestle for 65 minutes and you pin Roman Reigns and John Cena in the process, you're going to get people looking at you and thinking, yeah, this guy's worth it. So hopefully, round WrestleMania or after, he can do something with a lot more heft than what he's got currently going on. I just wish that this match, which was a fantastic spectacle, actually had some consequence to it. Because having Elias be the last man to enter, being announced a couple of weeks prior, I would have hoped that that would have been the reward for whoever the hell survived this. Or the person who got eliminated first or in the quickest amount of time goes in first. You know, that would have added some real tension and some real consequence to a match of this nature, rather than tiring 7 men out for a match that they're going to have to go in. Because now, if Seth Rollins starts the match, he's going to be eliminated first. No question about it. Now, the match, all said and done, was good. Very good even. In fact, the reason why this Raw review is going to be very short this week is because of this match. It's not worthy of a strike, it's all fantastic, and it went on for the longest time you could ever imagine, so I don't really have to say much more about it. Raw had a masterstroke of booking this week, because I can't be mad at it if 2/3 of it was a match that I thoroughly enjoyed, so now I've got to hope that the rest of the show doesn't deliver a strike with that. So what do you do when you've had a really, really long match and you need a break from the athleticism? You have a promo by a person who doesn't speak very good English in Asuka. Now, with Shinsuke Nakamura's promos, he's pretty solid at them. I mean, they're simple as hell, but he does the job. Asuka, she's good at promos when there isn't much to them substance-wise. In an interview where she has to follow a scripted lettered promo, logically she's going to stumble over her words, and yeah, it happened here. It was very awkward, not something that I liked that well, and it wasn't the most comfortable thing to sit through, but the gist of what it was doing was there. She highlighted her intent for the WrestleMania area, what she's going to do on Sunday. It was fine. made all the more better by Nia Jax attacking her afterwards, and considering the build to the matchup, that was exactly what we needed, and it was good, because it showed that Jax is definitely big enough to take down Asuka, but I would have liked that Asuka didn't have to reference that, okay, Jax lost in previous matches against her, because now people are going to look at Jax and go, if you didn't beat her before, what the hell are you going to do now to make sure you get that victory? Lord knows. But the one thing I do have to say is that Nia Jax saved this promo from getting a strike. So that's a good thing. Then again, Wrestling 101 will dictate, as Nia Jax looks strong coming out of this, that she is going to lose on Sunday. We'll see where my predictions end up for this one, whether I decide to stick with the norm or not. Either way, it wasn't a strike-worthy segment, but it was okay. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but as it was necessary for the build of the match itself, I can let it slide there. And then we get onto something which, well, is strike-worthy in fact. And yeah, it's Sheamus and Cesaro versus Titus Worldwide. I thought they'd already finished this, but of course, Raw doesn't have enough tag teams, so we have to put them into this again. Meaning that even though they've lost the tag team title match only about, 2 weeks ago? They have to go in and do it again. And the thing is, it just felt so shoehorned. It was also a very short match that only existed to get the team, the faces at least, over, and inevitably have a title match set up for Elimination Chamber, which will probably happen on the bloody pre-show. This is a strike-worthy match because it just felt so inconsequential and unnecessary. And that's a good thing, because at least I can say for certain that one thing I didn't expect to get a strike did. And that's good for me. And it also shows that even though SmackDown is in the toilet right now, at least their tag team division looks pretty solid. Raw only has 2 teams. Roughly. That's not good. So Raw, leading up to WrestleMania, you need to get a tag team to face these guys. Maybe you shouldn't have squashed the Revival. Maybe you should have hyped them up and ensured that they were actually good heels to take Sheamus and Cesaro to the sword. That's all I'm hoping, but that's not going to happen, is it? And again, like I've said, if there's one thing that SmackDown can do better than Raw, it's tag teams. And this is basically highlighting that thusly. We then went on to a Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy promo. Now, like I've said before, if it works to heighten up a match that's happening at a pay-per-view, I can't really be mad at a segment, but they basically are facing it to the chamber, and if it wasn't thanks to the Raw 25 match, I would be more excited for this. I really would be. And the fact of the matter is that they can talk all they want and laugh at each other and all that, but they need to start making these segments have more heft to them. Because you can talk the talk, but once you need to start walking the walk, you need to really punch it home how intense this feud is, how good their chemistry is. And I'm hoping the match at Chamber will do that, but the fact is, both of these men are trying to make their characters as kooky, insane, and weird as humanly possible, so when the big stuff does start hitting, it makes us all go, what the hell, and have us freak out. That's what they're trying to do, but the slow burn feel to it hasn't really worked, because they haven't done anything fresh, anything new, and now with Matt having all of the broken assets in his locker, as well as Jerry Borash on the same bloody roster in the creative side of things, hopefully something good will come of it. But the thing is, I'm trying to be kind with this. It did its job, it served its purpose, but the fact is, if that's the only thing I can give as a positive, then I really should give it the second strike of the evening, but I will not do that. The segment did its job, but I'm hoping the match delivers and is a sleeper hit on the evening, because if not, this feud will die on its deathbed on a very unceremonious action before WrestleMania comes round. I know they've been filming on the Hardy compound in North Carolina, but the fact is, if they deliver something amazing with that, brilliant. But I wish we didn't have to wait so long for it. If they're going to have a match at WrestleMania, Lord knows what that's going to be. All I know is it needs to be better than what we've got. Stop the laughing, start the punching, start the mind games, start the weird outside stuff. Do it! Because if you don't, you're going to have this segment each week being as silent as it was here. And if it wasn't for my criteria of a segment working for a match being built up, then I would have given it a strike, no question. And we then go on to something that if at the end of the night I would have given a strike to because it's such a tired cliche, a 6-woman tag match. Yeah, I've given strikes to the women on SmackDown for this because the matches have no purpose. The fact is, this one did, and it can thank its lucky stars because these 3 teams, or 2 teams of 3, good lord, I'm stumbling over my words, it's a bloody morning here. The fact is, if it wasn't for the story intrigue of Bayley and Sasha being put into perspective and the Alexa Bliss thing going up with Mickie James, and then you've got the stuff with Absolution. They all tied in well, building up the tandems of who's going to help each other in the chamber. It's going to make for a lot of intrigue story-wise, and that's great, because it means there's a lot more going into the chamber than you may first admit, which is lovely. The match was solid, the faces got their victory, and the heels whooped them afterwards, which means logically, the heels aren't going to win Sunday because, once again, Wrestling 101 will dictate everything works out. But the fact is, Bliss still looked nervous as hell, and I can't wait to see this match because it's all about what she is going to do. How cunning is she going to be? How is everyone else going to react around her? Where is she going to be in the chamber? Is she going to be the first out there? And you know what? I'm just saying this right now. The match was fine. It did its job, it worked out, and inevitably got me hyped for the chamber, but I hope to God I don't have to see another 6-woman tag match as long as I bloody live, because I've seen more in the last year, in the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, than I have wanted to in the longest period of my time as a wrestling fan. WWE, do not book these kind of matches, because it's annoying as hell. And Raw, at the end of what has been a very small show, ended up with only 1 strike. Good stuff, the Gauntlet match worked. However, SmackDown, I have a bone to pick with you. Here's the thing, I usually would go into an in-depth review on SmackDown, but the fact is, last week's episode was as benign and unfulfilling as you can get. This week followed on pretty much the exact same territory, which meant I didn't want to waste my time on this. Yes. This is getting 3 strikes off the board because you know it's going to get it. And whilst Raw did all it needed to with a match that you had to see, SmackDown just went about its business as usual, annoying the living hell out of me and a myriad of others on the internet. It had 1 or 2 little segments and the odd match that honestly was going to be worth my time, but when it's sandwiched between the same tired and repetitive segments and matches and pairings, coupled with those obtuse graphical elements that paints the blue brand in a bad light, no wonder I am not going to be intrigued by this. And outside of a #1 contenders match between the New Day and Benjamin and Gable, this was a tepid and extremely flat show that just highlights the stellar job that Road Dogg and his team are doing. And I say stellar with sarcasm infuriating my tone in the process, because SmackDown has been objectively worse for quite a while. And the annoying thing is, they can only do really well when when Raw falters hugely. And that annoys me. I want SmackDown to stand out on its own 2 feet. And the fact that we have nearly a month to go until Fastlane highlights that they're just going on autopilot until Elimination Chamber is out of the way so they can then go full pelt down that Fastlane to the pay-per-view itself. And that's not a good thing at all. And the thing is, I'm happy that we're having dual-branded pay-per-views once a month coming in for this exact reason, because then we get to see that these kinds of long holdovers between pay-per-views is not filled with pointless drivel. Because at least we can have that from month to month, that everything on SmackDown and Raw makes some valid sense. I used to love the idea of splitting up pay-per-views between brands every other month, but then if they're doing this, just going from time to time, week to week, not doing anything to substantiate the stories, then what the hell is the point? Because if you've got this much time, make use of it. Do something fun. Do something that Raw wouldn't do. But no, they're not doing that. And oh god. And it just doesn't change. From week to week, SmackDown just does the same old shtick. And that annoys me greatly, because I know the blue brand can do better. I know it can. And the only thing they can do to make it better is to ensure they have a different identity to Raw, to have a different sense of purpose, rather than just copying what Raw does and pasting it on the show. We've got another 6-woman tag this week. Why? Why can't we just have something different? Why can't we have them beat each other up backstage? Do something different. Make ourselves lighten up with excitement rather than tepid infuriation. Oh god, and the fact is I know SmackDown can do better. I grew up watching wrestling with the SmackDown 6 and the Ruthless Aggression era SmackDown entertaining my socks off while Raw was about as bland as you can get, being the Triple H show. I know SmackDown can do a lot better than this. And the fact that, okay, it was stuck in the wilderness in the late 2000s and early 2010s, logically I know it's been through worse. But at this moment in time, people do not give a crap about this brand to where it really is starting to sting. There are actual good wrestlers and good stories to be told on this show, and not even bothering to do it. It's just horrible. Since the Superstar shake-up, SmackDown has been on a seismic decline, and it's been utterly horrible. Now, while I am looking forward to AJ versus Shinsuke, a major tag team title match, and what I believe is going to be Charlotte versus Asuka on WrestleMania card, great! That's brilliant! But you can see why in the leaked WrestleMania match card that Meltzer had, it was mostly full of Raw matches. Because SmackDown is not being booked as important outside of the matches that matter. And that's not right. SmackDown needs to have much more of a footing, much more of a purpose. And Road Dogg, if you don't get your head out of your self-approved, Christian-loving, and all sorts of inflated ass, you are going to suffer an indignity. No wonder the hashtag Fire Road Dogg has been up all over the place. You can't pray to God all the time about how good your day is going to be and you're going to make a difference when the one thing you're actually making a difference on is suffering. Wouldn't any good Christian logically help the suffering rather than punching it while it's down? Oh yeah, because you live in America, logically the Christian right would love the fact you're kicking something weak when it's down. For the love of God, you have a pay-per-view coming up in a month. You have WrestleMania coming up in 2. Please, for the love of all that is holy, make SmackDown worth seeing again. Do something different. Throw us something like Raw did, a gauntlet match out of nowhere that at least gets us interested. Because all of these childish graphics that make no use to any of us watching, the top 10 list which is so arbitrary and pointless, and just the same matches week in, week out, it's going to make us go insane. And as a person who loves SmackDown from a nostalgia perspective and a real world one, for the love of God, do something. Because if you don't, if Fastlane comes and goes and I have seen no improvement, SmackDown may even not get much analysis on this show from week to week, and I don't want to do that. So overall, if the storylines are menial, the build-up has no payoff, and the matches are pointless, SmackDown, I have no interest in looking at you in depth, and I'll just be ranting like this every week. So yeah, it gets 3 strikes on principle because basically it was going to get that anyway. Which of course means that Raw won this week. Yes, it did. It also won last week by the skin of its bloody teeth. So as you can see, Raw is taking a massive, massive lead. And that's not good. SmackDown, please do better. Please make your build once Elimination Chamber goes to Fastlane something I can get into. Because if not, I'm going to have to be spreading the Fire Road Dogg hashtag around too. And Delexman will be very happy that his cause is getting some traction, even from a small YouTube channel like myself. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, the Elimination Chamber is only a day or 2 away. Let's look at my predictions for this thing. At the time of recording, which is sometime in midweek, there's no pre-show match announced for Elimination Chamber, which means I can't really analyse anything. Then again, by the time this video goes out, there is going to be a pre-show match on the card. Yay! I don't review those, as you know, so I shouldn't care. Anyway, let's get on to the main card, because that's what really matters. Starting off with Bray Wyatt versus Woke and Matt Hardy. I'm going for Matt on this one, because after Bray's victory at Raw 25, 50-50 booking will dictate that North Carolina gets his win back. Logically, and the match at Mania 34 is going to be, hopefully, as unpredictable and as insane as it can be. Which will be good. Now, the fact is this match could be a sleeper hit. If both of these guys get the time needed and the amount of room for their gimmicks to breathe, so this can be a very entertaining contest, unlike what most of their promos have been from week to week gradually. Now, I'm hoping this match is a lot better than my belief goes, and I'm just hoping it's something fun. If not, then it'll prove the underwhelming build has had an impact. At the same time, though, anything can happen in WWE, and these two could put on a good match to show us that, hey, it was worth sticking through just a little bit longer. I'm hoping. Now we have Asuka versus Nia Jax, and I'm going with Asuka here. Now, having Asuka win is understandably predictable, and I know WWE would want to throw a curveball at us, logically. Then again, they did that last year by having Charlotte's undefeated streak on pay-per-view end right before WrestleMania, robbing us of an amazing, affirming victory for Bayley. Because Naomi deserved it more after coming up from an injury, right? Anyway, the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, Jax will look as domineering, hard-hitting and commanding as she can, but she'll be gracious in defeat because there's no point losing that streak on a meaningless B-show. You need to learn the lessons from last year, and after me predicting Jax in the Rumble backfired immensely, I'm going to stick with the undefeated woman at the hand of this, because it makes sense. And the fact is, I would rather see a lot of intrigue going into Asuka taking on Charlotte, or anyone else who's potentially holding a SmackDown Championship, because Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax, as I've mentioned, has all the story built up ready for it. And especially if she looks amazing coming out of the Chamber pay-per-view, while everyone else is battered and broken, it'll be the only challenger left. And Ronda Rousey will probably be involved in something else. She has a contract signing on this same evening. I am not going to think about what that's going to be. I want to be surprised. The fact of the matter is, while Jax is going to look amazing, I don't want them to throw away Asuka's undefeated streak on a meaningless B-show right before Mania. The fact is, you need to build up the intrigue and give us the best match possible. And if that does mean Asuka goes all the way to SmackDown, oh boy, that's going to be fun indeed. That being said though, Asuka's going to come out victorious no matter what you say. Now we go on to what that links into, the Women's Elimination Chamber, which I'm going to go for Alexa Bliss on this one, because like I've said, if Nia Jax is going to be the lone challenger, you need to have Bliss be the champion. Now the fact of the matter is, Alexa made paramount in her statement that it was unfair that she had to be put in this position, so why not utilise her cunning, ring awareness and bitchness, because she is, to back up her statement by winning it, to prove that she is that strong. Now, the fact is, we know that Bayley and Sasha are probably going to screw each other out of a victory. Deville and Rose could easily support Bliss until Bliss double-crosses them or they fight each other because, you know, it's all every woman for themselves, you know. And the fact is, Mickie James will be the Iron Woman going through this match, lasting probably from the beginning all the way through to the end, only for a very fresh Bliss who hid most of the match and tried to stay out of proceedings as much as possible to get through, gets the victory. It's a little predictable, but the one thing I love about a chamber match with people you've never seen in it and women doing it for the first time ever is anything can happen. They're going to take risks, flips, jump off stuff. Are they going to really cause themselves pain? Is one of the women going to bleed? If so, the hard way for obvious reasons, and hopefully it's great. Because the fact is, this match, like the Royal Rumble, can surprise me in doing things you wouldn't really expect. Then again, there is no unexpected entrances from former legends to make this one interesting. We need the women of today to deliver something hard-hitting, incredibly fun, and something violent. Because the one thing we know is that we need something to go down here. And I'm hoping that it goes well. I'm hoping, because it's going to be a fun match, hopefully, because seeing women in a Hell in a Cell was great. It was a 4.25-star match, for God's sake. This, I'm hoping, matches up to what the Rumble did last month, and that did a year or two prior. Let's see if it all comes through. Then again, Alexa Bliss is still coming out victorious because she is that kind of sneezely chicken shit heel who, when push came to shove, actually showcases she knows what she's doing. And knowing that, I think she's going to win. Makes sense, I guess. Now we have on to the main event, the Men's Elimination Chamber, the 7-person chamber. What? And it is going to be, in my honest opinion, Braun Strowman's. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, it's Roman Reigns, it's painted on the wall. Yeah. The thing is, I didn't go for Strowman in the title match last time because I knew he wasn't going to win it. I just went, you know what? He hasn't got a chance here. It's going to be Lesnar going forth to Mania. The fact is, everyone has said it. If they want to build a star, build Strowman. We don't need Roman Reigns to main event another Mania. But then again, at the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing Lesnar versus Reigns again because the match at WrestleMania 31 got a 4-star rating from me back in 2015. So I'm really not that half-assed about it, to be honest, but the fact is I would love Strowman to win more. And I want predictability chucked out the frickin' window. Wrestling 101 will dictate after Raw this week with him standing on top of this gauntlet match that he's not going to. But then again, with Braun Strowman, you can do just about anything with booking and it'll come out looking pretty solid. The fact is, this match is going to be fun. You have high flyers, you have hard-hitting grapplers, submission guy potentially in there too. It's going to be a fun match. Not to mention with Balor in this. Or is he? Yes, he is. With Balor in this matchup, you have the potential interference by Gallows and Anderson as well. I mean, you can have a lot of things happen here. I would love it even if Jason Jordan tries to, even though he's injured at home with a neck problem. That would be even more fun. The fact is, this match has potential to really be interesting, and really fun, and really aggressive, and really intense, and really violent. I'm saying really so much it's losing all meaning. The fact is, I wouldn't mind seeing Balor or Rollins last an age in this thing. I wouldn't even mind seeing Cena be eliminated early to capitalise on that promo we cut this past week. The fact is, Strowman needs the victory. He's looked strong as hell over the last few weeks and didn't look that weak coming out of Royal Rumble, sure, but I would love to see WWE just say to us, look, we understand you don't want Roman Reigns main eventing another year in a row. Let's make another star. Let's do something fun. Let's make the main event scene something awesome. And there's no Samoa Joe in this match, which I'm very disappointed by. But at the same time, I want to see Strowman go the distance, make himself look amazing. And while Roman is probably going to win, how he's going to eliminate Strowman, I have no clue, which would be good to get his win back after the feud they had over the last year. I'm going to say this. I want Strowman to win. Again, I have to highlight it to the hill. I don't mind if the big dog wins in this now LED-strewn kennel, but the monster among men makes much more of a seismic impact going into WrestleMania, so as you can tell, I'm a little conflicted. And again, I'm not entirely fussed about which man wins this thing, but you know where my heart lies come Sunday. So let's hope I'm right on that one. So there we have it. Wrestling Rant is done for the week, and as I've mentioned, it's been an interesting one. The Chamber is on the horizon, and it looks to be quite interesting indeed. And of course, we have two shows of vastly different quality, to where one barely even got much of a mention. Seriously, SmackDown, get your ass into gear and deliver next week, because if not, bad things are going to happen. As for Raw, keep up the good work. Because it's the kind of stuff I expect from my wrestling show each week. Surprise, intrigue, and something fun to make my wrestling watching that much more beneficial. So when it comes to these videos at the end of the week, I know I'm not going to be angry. So that being said, I will see you guys on Tuesday for my Elimination Chamber review. And if you don't want to miss that, click the subscribe button down there and it'll be very much appreciated. I have been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching, this has been another edition of Wrestling Rant for the CC Network, and I will see you all next time.